and the first since the attempted assassination last week.
The Republican National Convention is now a wrap, and former President Donald Trump and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance begin rallying supporters. The first stop in Grand Rapids, Michigan today, with a focus on the economy, border security, and crime, all amid what we're told will be unprecedented security in the wake of the assassination attack in Pennsylvania. Today's rally being held indoors, that's easier to secure, with police in Grand Rapids saying the department is working with federal law enforcement with an unwavering commitment to safety. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Following that failed assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle is expected before Congress next week to answer some questions.
Lawmakers are raging at Cheadle over a lack of transparency. 4 Senate Republicans even dogged Cheadle through the hallways of the Republican convention in Milwaukee. Lawmakers were already livid with the Secret Service for the catastrophic security breach at the rally in Pennsylvania, but Cheadle ducking senators infuriated them even more. Little is known about the gunman Thomas Crooks. Lawmakers find the lack of detail even more vexing. Congress isn't running the only investigation into the security breakdown. The Department of Homeland Security is conducting 2 probes, and the FBI. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Federal officials expect transportation systems to be back to normal today after that massive outage for Windows users Friday. Cybersecurity company CrowdStrike pointed to a defect in an update delivered for Microsoft. Transportation, delivery, and healthcare all impacted. America's listening to Fox News.
From the Fox News Podcast Network.
I'm Emily Campagno, and this is the Fox True Crime Podcast.
And I had nothing to do with her disappearance, but people still accuse me of it.
I sit down with the people who lived the nightmares.
I was in shock. I was just devastated.
The investigators who tirelessly worked on the case.
I feel for their families, and I really hope that they can catch this guy.
Bringing you closer to the story than you ever thought possible.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Get all of your favorite Fox News podcasts commercial-free on Apple Podcasts with Fox News Podcasts Plus. From Dana Perino, Kennedy, Ben Domenech, The Duffys, and many more. Subscribe now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com. The Fox News Rundown, a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Your daily dose of news twice a day, featuring insight from top newsmakers, reporters, and Fox News contributors. Listen and subscribe now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A motorcyclist died in a crash in Greenwood Friday night. It's currently 83 degrees on Monument Circle. I'm Wes Woodward, and here's what's trending at 5:03. Following a fatal crash in Greenwood Friday night, the Johnson County coroner has identified the victim. Sasha Nixon has more.
Coroner Michael Pruitt says 20-year-old Connor Stevens died in a motorcycle crash on US 31 near Main Street. The Greenwood Fire Department posted a message Friday night asking drivers to avoid the area. It is not yet clear what led to the crash or if anyone else was involved. Sasha Nixon, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
A prominent community activist and restaurant owner, Ron G., was fatally shot Thursday morning at a gas station at 38th and Arlington. His real name is Ronald G. Friesen. He was 39, and he founded Ceasefire India, a nonprofit that aims to curb shootings in the city. Police do not have a suspect in custody or anyone detained tied to the shooting. But today, a vigil for the fallen activist.
I think that we're seeing some of our victims and perpetrators get younger and younger, and that's so unfortunate because they are our future. So I think, again, it is an American issue as it relates to guns, just being everywhere and available, and we need to help to try to curb gun violence, all of us working together to do so.
That's Ken Sullivan, Jr., senior pastor of New Direction Church, speaking of the gun issue in our communities. Sexual harassment and sexual assault are the accusations against a former Indianapolis city employee. Donnie Burgess reports.
Several women have accused Thomas Cook, former Indianapolis chief deputy mayor, of grooming them over the last several years, which resulted in inappropriate sexual relationships, first reported by the Indy Star. Cook was investigated and punished 3 times, confirms Indy Mayor Joe Hogsett, and Cook eventually resigned from the deputy mayor position in 2020. He was then asked to step away from Hogsett's re-election campaign last year. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are getting ready for the 2024 WNBA All-Star Game tonight. Boston is making her second appearance, while Clark, the rookie, is in her first All-Star game. The game tips off at 8:30 p.m. at the Footprint Center in Phoenix. Here's your forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
For today, mostly sunny, humidity in the comfortable category. High temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, our low temperatures in the low to mid 60s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
I'm Wes Woodward, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Your Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Discover Masterpiece Quilts at the International Quilters Hall of Fame celebration in Marion, Indiana, July 21st through 23rd. This amazing celebration features world-class exhibits, great workshops and lectures, and the induction of the 2024 honoree. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic, cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. Seminars are Thursday, July 25th at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 5:30, stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Or Saturday, July 27th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites Indianapolis Northeast in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m., stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register now at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment. And this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Thrilled that you're with us. Absolutely glorious afternoon out there. Hope you went out and exercised your Second Amendment rights, as I always say. Went out and dented some primers, whether you went out to the range, shot some sporting clays or trap or skeet, whatever it might have been. Hope you went out and hope you enjoyed it. Hope you did it safely and responsibly. And if you listen to the Gun Guy Show, there's an incredibly high likelihood that's exactly what you did, because you're interested in safe and responsible gun ownership. And I got to tell you, with a lot going on this week, it was interesting to me, when President Trump was shot. I think it's a completely legitimate statement to say he was shot. Someone fired a bullet at him that hit him in the ear. That, to me, constitutes getting shot. And when that happened was during the Gun Guy Show last week. And it was interesting because I saw on social media that a number of people even said, there were a couple of people went out and said, where were you and what were you doing? How did you learn about the assassination attempt on President Trump? And I saw a number of people, a few people said, I was listening to the Gun Guy Show. and listen, it was interesting. And thanks so much to the people who texted me or messaged me on social media when all that was unfolding, because that's how I learned about it. Somebody said, did you hear about the shooting at Trump's rally? And I was like, oh, okay, hold on. And I think even while I was doing live radio, I Googled it and nothing came up the first couple of minutes, but I kept refreshing the search and eventually it said shots fired at Trump rally in Pennsylvania. And then I saw the picture of the blood coming across President Trump's cheek, and blood on his ear, and the Secret Service a hold of him, and all those images that we've all seen over the last week. And that's when we made the decision, because listen, I always defer to the WIBC newsroom when it comes to breaking news, and always want to make sure that things are verified, things are accurate, because when it comes to breaking news, man, you just don't want to be wrong. I mean, I don't want to be wrong on anything, but a lot of what I discuss here on the Gun Guy Show is opinion. if not outright advocacy, which I'm not shy a bit about. And that's a little different, though, than breaking news. And so it's very important to me that we were accurate in that. And so producer Jack and I were both out there on the internet and searching for what we could search for. And it seemed to be confirmed by a number of different sources, especially with the images. We could say, yeah, looks like there's been an assassination attempt. President Trump has been hit, but it appears to be a fairly superficial wound. Easy for me to say, right? Anytime somebody gets shot, well, it's a superficial wound. But got hit in the area. He was bleeding, but he was then protected by Secret Service and ushered off of the stage and into the vehicle. The vehicle they often refer to as the Beast, the heavily armored vehicle used to transport our presidents around. And there are multiple iterations, versions of that available. And there's been so much discussion. And listen, there are there conspiracy theories out there? Yeah. Do some of them sound pretty plausible to me? And if you listen to the Gun Guy show, I'm not a big conspiracy guy. And I think, was it Occam's razor that says if anything can be explained by incompetency over conspiracy, that's the conclusion you should make? I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's a fair rendition. And I'm a firm believer in that. If something can be explained by people just being stupid and incompetent, that's probably more likely than people who are actually involved in some grand conspiracy. And I'm going to maintain that view until facts come out that directly refute it. But my goodness, the amount of incompetence involved in this scenario. And listen, am I an expert on Secret Service protocols and the performance of the jobs of Secret Service agents? No, I am not. What I have done, as significant or insignificant as this might be, is I've taken to date about 40 hours of what's called protective operation training. And that's training specifically designed where your role is to be a protector, someone else is your protectee. And in the training I did, we did it both as individuals, like just if you're out with your wife, your husband, and you're carrying a gun, you are their protector. And we also did it as teams. And we talked about, different formations around the protectee. We talked about site assessments. We talked about all those things. Did a lot of field medical. And listen, I don't equate that for a moment. I'm sure it's a drop in the bucket to the training I hope our Secret Service agents are receiving when they become Secret Service agents, or in order to qualify to become Secret Service agents. I pray that the training I've done, the 40 hours that I took, is completely inferior to the training that Secret Service agents go through. I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I'm sure it's a drop in the bucket. Having said that, a basic site assessment, a site assessment is and I had one instructor tell me this. He said, I'm going to cut through a lot of what we're going to talk about. Someone who's really good at doing a site assessment in terms of a security analysis, about being a part of a team to keep someone safe, where you're responsible for keeping that person safe. Or it could be you're responsible for keeping a whole bunch of people safe. I've done site assessments. People have paid me to come in and consult with them to set up the security teams, for instance, in their business or in their church. I've done a bunch with churches. And so you're trying to protect everybody in that building. But this instructor said really the approach to this is fairly simple. The people who are the very best at doing site assessments as part of a security team, the people that are the very best are the people that are really good at thinking like bad guys. And that's exactly how you ought to approach the task. You come in here, wherever it is, the church, or in this case, the grounds out in Butler, Pennsylvania. You come in, you say, all right, I'm a bad guy. And you assume plentiful resources, you assume intelligence, you assume capability. I'm a bad guy or bad guys with a whole bunch of capability. I have a whole bunch of wherewithal, whether it's firearms, training, whatever it might be. How would I want to come into this location and hurt people? Where would I want to be? Where would I want to gain access? When would I want to gain access? What kind of firearm would I want to have? What position would I want to take? Where do I have a solid shot at the person I'm trying to kill, or the persons, people, multiple people I'm trying to kill? Where would I want to come from? Where would I want to come into? Where would I want to take up a station? Where would I want to take up a shooting position? How would I want to go about, in this case, referring to the rally in Pennsylvania, where would I want to be in order to have an undetected ability to kill President Trump? And let me tell you, I haven't been to the location. All I know is what you know from watching the same news reports that you've seen. But the roof of that building, it's got to be one of the very first things that just screams at you to say, this is exactly where a bad guy would want to be. And all you got to do is just think like the bad guy. And that's what your job is when you're doing a security assessment as part of a protective operation. That's just 101. That's easy. That's not hard. And with the minimal training I've had, again, I'm sure, I hope, compared to the people responsible in the Secret Service, it's so not hard. And I've seen a lot of dispute. We're going to take a break here. We're a little past quarter hour. We'll take a break. By the way, I want to take your calls, your input, as we always do here in the Gun Guy Show. 317-239-9393. 317-239-9393. I've seen a lot of discussion out on the internet, out on the interwebs, on social media, and people talking generally with the same theme about how hard of a shot is it with an AR. Now, this is not an advanced sniper rifle. I own, actually, the model of my gun, my long-range gun, what I call my reach out and touch me gun. It's called an advanced sniper rifle from Bell Precision Rifles, one of the best manufacturers, custom makers of precision rifles in the world, located right here in Indiana. And an AR is a pretty dramatic step down from what a true precision rifle is. So now we're talking about with an AR, which this guy reportedly had. In fact, there are pictures which seem to me to very much confirm that. How hard of a shot is that? 150 yards away. And of course, all stuff on the internet, it's the internet, it's social media. So you have people say, oh, I've shot beer cans at 500 yards with iron sights. And, you see a lot of those comments because everybody's a special forces sniper when it comes to the internet. But how hard a shot is that really? And does that issue, does the answer to that question minimize or, in fact, exaggerate some of the conspiracy theories out there? As we'll get into. We'll take your calls as we always do. 317-239-9393. We'll be right back. We're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WYBC.
Former President Trump has a new apprentice.
Auditions are over, and the role has been cast.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance.
The bumper sticker will say, Trump Vance.
J.D. Vance hasn't always been a fan of former President Trump.
It's actually important to be able, again, to admit that you're wrong.
Well, you can kind of see why Trump made the choice he did.
The first sort of thought you have to have, could I stand in the big chair?
What happens next?
He's the guy he thinks can help him win.
Happens here on your 2024 election information station.
Guy Relford for Indiana Gun Club. Indiana Gun Club is Indy's premier shotgun club. They're located in Fortville, really right out by Geist, just minutes by Indy. They've got over 2,000 guns in inventory. They've got a clubhouse that's great for your event, whether it's a fundraiser, a team building exercise, client relations, even a bachelor party. Their clubhouse and their outside covered patio is absolutely perfect. They can cater your event. They've got my friend Gordon Gamilla out there. Their events coordinator is a trained chef and produces some of the best barbecue, for instance, I have ever had. They can absolutely have your event out there, again, whether it's a fundraiser or team building exercise, a corporate event, client relations. It's exactly where you want to have it. I've been to several out there. The food is fabulous. And to go out and shoot sporting clays, for instance, let me just tell you, an event like that, a team building exercise, corporate event, fundraiser, sporting clays is perfect for that because you don't have to be experienced with shooting. You don't have to have ever shot a shotgun in your life. Indiana Gun Club can set this up where they'll make sure it's safe. They'll make sure everybody has fun. And it's not like another sport where, if you're not good, you don't enjoy it. You can go out and you can miss 20 birds in a row and you hit that first one and it's so much fun. And I've seen people's faces light up, and that's exactly what can happen out there. And we've turned a whole bunch of people onto the sport just by coming out for an event. So check them out at indianagunclub.com. Or give them a call at 317-485-6540. That's Indiana Gun Club, Indy's premier shotgun club.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Are you getting the connection you deserve? 5G home internet can be spotty, and no one should rely on internet from a cell tower. Get internet for 50% less than T-Mobile 5G home internet in your first year with Xfinity. It's reliable internet with the speed you need at a great value. You'll get consistently fast speeds, even during peak hours, with 99.9% network reliability. For the internet experience you deserve, switch to Xfinity and bring on the good stuff. Now through July 25th, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $30 a month for 12 months with no annual contract and equipment included. That's 50% savings over T-Mobile 5G home internet for your first year. To learn more, go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary. Compares promotional pricing for Xfinity Connect Internet versus T-Mobile 5G home internet at $60 a month. After promo, regular rates apply. Currently $56 a month.
Remember the big bad wolf? Michaelis does. Because around here, all that huffing and puffing and blowing houses down stuff comes in the form of rain, wind, and hail. And no matter what your structure is made of, Michaelis is made of first responders and craftsmen who can restore it to better than new condition. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
If your wedding anniversary is approaching, that means a visit to Barrington Jewels in Clearwater Crossing. You must see the truly one-of-a-kind creations at Barrington. You'll find exquisite and unique anniversary bands at great prices and with special financing available. Save time and effort and shop Barrington Jewels first. Consider upgrading her diamond, a truly special way to show your love. Plus Swiss and German brand sport watches. Don't wait. Get to Barrington Jewels today. And remember, you haven't seen a diamond until you've seen a Barrington diamond.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or are covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indie Decorative Concrete patio. Indie Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care.
Indie Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indiehumane.org.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. So we're talking about some of the sort of marksmanship, more technical issues associated with the assassination attempt just a week from today, coming up at 6, I think it was 6/11 or so was that shooting, and we announced it pretty soon after that right here on The Gun Guy Show. So just about exactly a week ago. By the way, President Trump is at a rally as we speak, this one in Michigan. And if you watch the Republican National Convention, you saw he had the big white square bandage on his ear. That looks like that's gone. And from the image I can see on the monitor here in the studio at WIBC, looks like he may just have a Band-Aid on it. And that makes sense. It makes sense to me. We're talking about, again, what's potentially a lot of damage. You got a projectile out of an AR. 5.56 is the caliber that I've heard. Only 150 yards from the muzzle of a 5.56 rifle. Yeah, there's a little variability here, depending on the exact ammunition, depending on barrel length. But that bullet's traveling close to 3,000 feet per second, probably in the 2,800 feet per second range, which is damn fast. And listen, how do you calculate the energy produced by a projectile fired from a gun? It's very, very close to the old theory of relativity from our buddy Einstein, right? But it's the mass of the projectile times the velocity of the projectile squared. So the velocity has more, relatively speaking. Oh, there's a pun in there somewhere. Has more of an effect on energy delivered to the target than the mass, the weight of the projectile. And so a projectile, even though an AR fire is a relatively small projectile compared to a lot of, we keep hearing ARs being described as high velocity or high power rifles. They're absolutely not. U.S. military used to carry 30 caliber or 30-06. Much more than they did. In fact, during Vietnam, we decided to go to a smaller caliber with a specific goal of saying, you know what, if you just wound a guy by shooting him with a smaller, less lethal round on the battlefield, then it usually takes two other guys to carry him off the battlefield. You've just taken three people off the battlefield, where if you shot the same guy with a 30-06 round, now he's dead. He's down on the battleground, and you've had less of an effect on the enemy. At the same time, with a smaller, lighter round, you can carry a lot more of it as a soldier. That's the same weight. So if you can carry twice as much or 3 times as much ammo because of simply lighter ammo in terms of rounds, 2 or 3 times as much, that's a good deal. And you can potentially have a greater net effect on the enemy by wounding rather than killing. And that was a specific strategy around going to the M16. The military version was select fire or automatic, if you like that term, compared to the AR-15. So it's not a high power, high velocity. I'd say not high power, it's relatively high velocity, but you're shooting a much smaller round, so that diminishes the energy delivered. But my point in all of that is, you got a really fast round that's hitting flesh. It's going to cause a significant amount of damage. Now, luckily, when you're just hitting an ear, there's only so much damage you can do. And I'm glad to see President Trump appears to just have a Band-Aid on it. But let's go back to some of the discussion that we've seen since the assassination attempt. And I've had a lot of people say, 100, and you keep seeing the distance being different. I've seen it at 160 yards. I've seen it at 150 yards. I've seen it at 130 yards. You know what? I mean, why can't somebody go out there with a damn laser, a high-quality laser rangefinder, laser it, and give us a specific distance? And it keeps changing. But let's just pick one. Let's say it's 150 yards. Is that a hard shot with an AR? No, I wouldn't qualify it as a hard shot, but there are a lot of other things that go into this. I mean, I've spent a lot of time behind an AR-15. I've taught a lot of people how to shoot AR-15s. I've taken a lot of classes. Oh, gosh, 8, 10, maybe more. Classes from great institutions like Gunsight out in Paulden, Arizona, and many, many others. And so I've spent a little time behind the rifle. I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. And a lot of it depends on the particular AR. I mean, this was reportedly a DPMS. DPMS, AR-15, I'd put that in the somewhere between mid-tier and economy, maybe closer to economy. An AR, it's not a top-tier AR, but a capable rifle, sure. And then it depends a little bit on barrel length. A longer barrel is going to give you a little more accuracy, and that's going to depend on what kind of optic, what kind of sights you have on it. Now, there's one picture of this guy, and I'm not using his name. It's an absolute policy with mass shooters. You know what? Well, let's just adopt the same policy for OSE presidential assassins. Or in this case, assassin of a presidential candidate and former president. I'm not going to use his name either, but there's a picture that I posted early on, and it's from the side, and he's on the roof, and it's from a video that was taken by a bystander, which is a whole nother issue. But it's from the side, it's a profile, and he's got the AR to his shoulder, and I zoomed in because I was fascinated to know what kind of sight he had on a rifle. And listen, if you've seen another article, you've seen a better picture, man, give us a call or send me a message on that issue. But I'm fascinated to know what kind of sight he had on this, because it makes a very substantial difference. Now, you're probably sitting there, you're old school, you're going, hey, iron sights, man, or open sights, depending on what you call them. Meaning it's not a magnified optic, it's not a red dot, electronic optic, fiber optic, or otherwise. It's just a rear sight and a front sight. A lot of people out there right now going, that's not a hard shot from 150 yards or 130, whatever number you want to pick from the various reports we've seen in the media. That's true, generally speaking, but now let's talk about only iron sights and making a headshot. And listen, President Trump's torso, from about, looking at the pictures, from about 6 inches above his belt line, is visible behind the podium. This was more to the side. The podium is even less of an obstacle. Could you have gone center mass on this shot? Yeah, you could have. A lot of bad guys. I'm sure this guy, one of the added effect of a headshot, you make a good headshot, and it's going to be much more likely to be fatal. I understand the approach. But a headshot with iron sights, and by the way, when I zoomed in as much as I could possibly zoom in, and it's not a high-quality picture, it's taken from a video, I think off a cell phone, but it looks to me like the most likely optic he had on this thing was an EOTech style. EOTech's a particular manufacturer, if you're not familiar with that, but it's a red dot. It's not magnified. It's just a red dot, which is slightly easier to use than open sights. Some people will disagree with that and say, no, I'm better with iron sights. God bless you. Slightly easier. You're just putting a dot on your target. From 150 yards to make a headshot. And listen, I've been out to classes where everybody in there is experienced. A lot of us in there are instructors. With iron sights, with open sights, or even just a red dot from 150 yards making a headshot, not everybody makes every shot, even experienced shooters. Do you make most of them? Yeah. Did this kid apparently have a good shot lined up and simply didn't have the effect he intended because President Trump turned his head at the very last second? Absolutely. And you've probably seen some of the same graphics I had. out on the internet where it looks like the shot would have gone absolutely through about a quarter of President Trump's brain, but he turns his head at the very last second, looking at a graphic that was up on a big screen, and absolutely saved his life. But I'm not quite, as a very experienced guy with an AR, I'm not quite in the school where you'd say any idiot can make this shot any day of the week with an AR with open sights. I'm not quite agreeing with that. At the same time, that doesn't mitigate in any way, shape, or form. And don't take any of my comments on that. That's just a general observation. Don't take any of my comments on that to say that that building didn't need to be secured by the Secret Service prior to President Trump's speech. That is 1,000% true. That is a prime location for anybody who would want to take a shot at the president, and 100%, 1,000% needed to be locked down and 100% secured as part of any competent site assessment as part of a protective operation detail like the Secret Service is responsible for. That's not even close. That's an absolute. Going to stay on the general topic, but change the subject a little bit. We had Dr. Sanjay Gupta, chief medical correspondent for CNN, and I posted on this on both Twitter and on Facebook. If you want to see the article, I'd say go look this up on Twitter. If you have not already followed me on Twitter, or X, I guess we're supposed to call it now, give me a follow while you're there. But he said something that is both technically correct and absolutely moronic here just recently about the assassination attempt on President Trump. I'll go into that and take your calls here when we come back. 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Donald Trump has named Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his vice presidential pick.
And I love these stories. I mean, J.D. Vance came from nothing. You know, the white trash Appalachian roots, and now he's one of the 100 most powerful men in the country as Senator of Ohio, and now even more powerful as Donald Trump's vice presidential pick.
J.D. Vance is the nominee.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
The deals keep coming at Andy Moore Ford in Plainfield. Tony Katz here at Andy Moore Ford. The people, the selection, the service, everything you want. Shop their wide selection of certified pre-owned vehicles, all marked with more savings, so you can be sure you're driving home with the best deal. And their commercial truck center is currently undergoing big changes, which means bigger and better things for you coming soon. Stop by today. Check out every vehicle they have on the lot and all the electric vehicles they've got. The Mustang Mach-E, the E-Transit, and that F-150 Lightning, all in stock with more arriving daily. The all-electric F-150 Lightning has you covered with seating up to 5, intelligent backup power, and onboard power for all your tools and gear. And they've got the incentives, the rebates, the federal, the state incentives that can save you up to $7,500 instantly on site. Talk to Andy Moore Ford in Plainfield about your new car, your new truck, or your new electric vehicle. Andy Moore Ford, M-O-H-R. I love Andy. AndyMooreFord.com.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. Seminars are Thursday, July 25th at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 5:30, stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Or Saturday, July 27th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites Indianapolis Northeast in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m., stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register now at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
This is a Fox News alert. A rally in the Rust Belt this afternoon. Former President Donald Trump getting back on the campaign trail in Grand Rapids, Michigan, 1 week after surviving an assassination attempt. Speaking before Mr. Trump, his VP nominee, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance.
We want an America that works for Americans, and the only way to do it is to re-elect Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
And J.D. Vance also taking some time, not surprisingly, to criticize Vice President Kamala Harris.
She did serve as border czar during the biggest disaster, open border that we've ever had in this country. Let's get President Trump back there, close down that border, and bring some common sense and security to this country.
Today's key swing state rally held in an arena under very tight security after last weekend's assassination attempt. I'm Paul Stevens, and this is a Fox News Alert.
From marshmallow festivals to fireworks on the shore. No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. During Hubler's Freedom to Drive, shop any of our 12 locations and choose from Chevys, Fords, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and many more. Over 2,000 vehicles. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report.
'Cause Hubler's got you covered.
No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. During our Freedom to Drive, visit drivehubler.com or any of our 12 locations.
Cover me!
Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Fox, CNN, other news sources are reporting home prices are expected to decline into 2025, even after the election. Maximize your home sales price now before this downturn with the agent proven to sell for top dollar, Mark Dietel. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades to sell your home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Sarah in Fountain Square had to say about working with Mark Dietel. After investing in a property in Fountain Square, I ran into some financial trouble and needed to sell the place fast. After hearing about Mark Dietel from friends, I hired him. Mark was able to sell my property within weeks over list price. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIPC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. So one thing that always gets interesting is when the talking heads in the media or the politicians try to weigh in on gun-related issues, and they clearly have no concept of what they're talking about when it comes to guns. And it can get really humorous. If you really know firearms, if you're a shooter, if you're trained and educated on firearms, it can get pretty funny. And we had an example of that. And I don't know if funny is even the right word. It can get a little pathetic. We had an example of that here just in the last 24 hours or so, because I saw posted, and I saw a bunch of Democrats or liberals or Biden supporters, however you want to describe them, who are out reposting this on social media, particularly on Twitter. And I'm sorry, it's like Deer Creek. I'm going to call it Twitter. And if you want to correct me and say it's supposed to be X, then why don't you just make that little correction in your head? I'm going to call it Twitter. In the meantime, I just keep saying this article, and it's from Dr. Sanjay Gupta. And look, he's been around for quite a while. He's the chief medical correspondent on CNN. And so he, obviously he was front and center during COVID, and he's been around just on whatever medical issue is in the news. on CNN for quite a while. And he's a fairly well-spoken guy. But he went out and published this article, or made a public statement that appeared then in multiple articles. And he was calling for a complete public medical assessment of President Trump, saying we need much more transparency here, and we need a complete physical medical assessment of President Trump after the assassination attempt. You know, not unlike a lot of people are calling for President Biden to undergo a competency evaluation, a neurological evaluation, a mental health evaluation, whatever you want to call it. But here, in order to turn those tables a little bit, Dr. Gupta says, the concern is that gunshot blasts near the head can cause injuries that aren't immediately noticeable, such as bleeding in or on the brain, damage to the inner ear, or even psychological trauma. And he says, as a trauma neurosurgeon, he calls himself, he's seen the damage that guns can cause, and so for that reason, believes President Trump needs a much more public and thorough medical assessment. Well, you know, I read that. If you just look at his actual statement, and I quoted this in a Twitter post, the quote is, the concern is that gunshot blasts near the head can cause injuries that aren't immediately noticeable, such as bleeding in or on the brain, damage to the inner ear, or even psychological trauma. Is that statement correct? Well, sure. And depending on the individual, psychological trauma, but yeah, a gunshot blast near your head, because of the amount of energy being released, the concussive effect of especially a high velocity round, or take your pick, a high power round, those are different things, although related, can have a very significant effect. Now, some of that's going to depend on what muzzle device you have on it. If you have a suppressor on it, that's going to make a dramatic difference. But generally speaking, is that a true statement? Yes. So why did I ridicule it so mercilessly on social media? It's because he says a gunshot blast near the head. Where did the gunshot blast occur in the assassination attempt against President Trump? Was it near President Trump's head? The gunshot blast, we're talking about where the bullet leaves the muzzle of the rifle. That's where you have a gunshot blast. That's a lot of high-pressure gases and high-temperature gases being released from the muzzle of the firearm. Did that occur next to the president's head or near the president's head? No, it occurred, again, pick your number. Let's go with 150. 150 yards away from the president. Some people are going to want to call and correct me and say he's the former president. Look, once you become president of the United States, you get to be called president for the rest of your lifetime. That's why we still say President Bush and President Carter. So just let's go ahead and swallow that one. So I'm going to call him President Trump. But the gunshot blast occurred at 150 yards from him. Well, that blast, 150 yards away, not near your head, 150 yards away, cause bleeding in or on the brain, damage the inner ear, or even psychological trauma. Psychological trauma, look, the fact that a bullet just whizzed, an inch or two from your brain, a lot of people are saying a millimeter, some people a half an inch, again, pick your measurement, but it hit his ear. Can that cause psychological trauma just because you came that close to dying? I'll go with that one. But that's not his point. He's coming in as a neurosurgeon, what he calls himself a trauma neurosurgeon. Add a little validity to this assessment. He's talking about the physical, medical effects, physiological effects of a bullet passing near your brain, passing near your head. But he confuses two things. It's a bullet going past your head versus a gunshot next to your head. Those are completely different things. And listen, I tagged him, and I tagged CNN. And I said, this is silly. This is ridiculous. I said, things you can't make up. The gunshot blast, quote unquote, that he's describing all these horrible effects of. And listen, could they do that? Would I want anybody to put the muzzle of an AR next to my head without hearing protection and pull the trigger? Oh, God, no. Absolutely not. And would I expect to have a very serious hearing loss? Yes. Could it have more serious effects than that? Very possibly. But if somebody said, oh, Guy, we're going to do this 150 yards from your head, I'd say, well, then all I got to worry about is getting hit by the damn bullet, because the gunshot blast, quote unquote, is going to have no effect on me whatsoever. But that's what we get. See, when these talking heads, when they want to come in with some unique insight, ooh, I'm going to take an angle here nobody else has thought of. But they have absolutely no concept of what guns are about, how to use a gun, how to operate a gun, how guns even operate. Then they can screw it up so horrifically, just exactly like Dr. Sanjay Gupta did from CNN. We're past a quarter hour. We're taking a break. We'll be back for a very short segment here at the top of the hour on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Former President Trump has a new apprentice.
Auditions are over and the role has been cast.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance.
The bumper sticker will say, Trump Vance.
J.D. Vance hasn't always been a fan of former President Trump.
It's actually important to be able, again, to admit that you're wrong.
Well, you can kind of see why Trump made the choice he did.
The first sort of thought you have to have, could I stand in the big chair?
What happens next?
He's the guy he thinks can help him win.
Happens here on your 2024 election information station.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our next Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class is coming up Saturday, August 17th at Indy Arms. We'd love to see you there. This is 4.5 to 5 hours of the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. And we've added another class out at Avon, and we've taught out at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. We've been out there several times. We'd love to go back. That's going to be Saturday, November 9th, so you got plenty of time to arrange your schedule. Both of those are $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. We'd love to see you there. Go to tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Whatever happened to Tony Horton, the guy who created the revolutionary P90X?
2017, I was knocked down. A very rare type of shingles that went straight into my brain. My body was completely wasting away. I started researching everything related to building my muscle back again. That's when I learned about the potential of HMB plus vitamin D3 and what they can do when it comes to helping build new muscle.
So Tony developed high-impact protein by Power Life.
Just add 1 scoop of high-impact protein to a glass of water or your morning smoothie and enjoy the effects of that boss molecule and factory worker combination, reshaping your body each and every day. More energy, burn more fat, and probably drop a few pounds along the way.
High-impact protein by Power Life is a tasty once-a-day powder that comes in either whey or plant protein. Go to mypowerlife.com and use code TONE to save 30%. Tony even offers a 90-day guarantee. Go to mypowerlife.com or text TONE to 511-511. Text TONE to 511-511 today. All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg, your premier gun store. Over 1,200 firearms in stock and the largest selection of used firearms in the area. Premier Arms is home of the Buy Room. This exclusive, private, and secure room is where Premier Arms will buy your estate or special collection of firearms and jewelry. Premier Arms and PA Jewelers, their one-of-a-kind jewelry store located in the same building, are the largest buyers of firearms, firearm collections, and estate jewelry in the Midwest. Talk to Premier Arms today, 3754 South Green Street, online at premierarms.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Indiana Foundation Service. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at indianafoundation.com.
A violent crime is committed every 24 seconds. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists to provide you with firearms education, training, and access to self-defense liability insurance. So when trouble comes, you'll be ready. Over 800,000 Americans trust the USCCA, and right now, there's an exclusive, limited-time offer for radio listeners. Go to defendfamily.com to get a free family defense guide, a survival secrets training video from a retired FBI agent, and see all the benefits of membership. Go to defendfamily.com now.
If you or someone you know suffered any injuries involving a deployed airbag, you could be entitled to compensation. Morgan & Morgan has already recovered millions. Get America's largest injury law firm fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Never miss your favorite shows on WIBC. Get your content to go. Would you like fries with that? Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, Tony Kennett, The Gun Guy, Home and Garden. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. We've got a very short segment here at the top of the hour, but when we start hour number 2, I'm going to get into the self-defense issues associated with a viral video. I don't use that term very often, but it probably fits here, of a road rage-related shooting that occurred on the south side of Indianapolis just last Tuesday. And a couple of drivers got into it, and one of them ends up shooting the other one. And listen, people who have seen the video say it's very clear-cut, and I think it probably will be, but there are issues associated with the use of deadly force in self-defense in this context that people may not be entirely focused on. That's what we're going to get into when we come back, and take your calls when we come back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hi, it's Steve Mann. Have you heard the commercials for the Mark Patrick Stop Smoking seminars? And they said only $49.99 and it could work for you. So I thought, that's not even a week's worth of smoking. So I went. And guess what? It did work for me. You know, my friends and family are still amazed. I quit smoking. I didn't have cravings, anxiety, or weight gain. Listen, I don't know how it works, but I know it works because I'm living proof, and it's 100% guaranteed. So what do you got to lose? I'll tell you what you got to lose. A very bad habit.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking without cravings, irritability, or weight gain. Early bird special only $49.99 guaranteed. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all or your money back. Seminar 8 p.m. on Thursday, July 25th at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport in Indianapolis, or 2 p.m. on Saturday, July 27th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites Indianapolis Northeast in Noblesville. Registration 30 minutes before seminar. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show next Saturday and Sunday at the Howard County Fairgrounds in Greentown. The best dealers in the region. Hundreds of tables. Just $6 for adults. Kids 12 and under get in free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade. Next Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Howard County Fairgrounds in Greentown. For more info, visit centralindianagunshows.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now. 93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Sexual harassment and sexual assault accusations. I'm Wes Woodward. Here's what's trending this hour. A former city employee who worked for the Indianapolis mayor has been accused of sexual assault. Donnie Burgess reports.
Thomas Cook was the former chief deputy mayor and worked for the campaign team for Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett. Multiple women have accused Cook of grooming and sexually assaulting them over the last several years, as first reported by the Indy Star. Mayor Hogsett confirmed Friday morning Cook was investigated and disciplined. Cook eventually resigned in 2020 and was asked to leave the Hogsett campaign in 2023. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Governor Eric Holcomb has announced that he will soon be traveling to Australia and Singapore as part of an economic development trip. Sasha Nixon reports.
Essentially, the trip is meant to establish and foster relationships with businesses in those countries, with a particular emphasis on sectors like manufacturing, defense, and energy. The governor, First Lady, and Indiana Secretary of Commerce will leave for Australia Saturday and will return from Singapore on July 30th. Sasha Nixon, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
The Eucharist is central to the Catholic faith. Ryan Hedrick reports from the Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis.
Erin Lambert is a college student from Georgia. She says her faith gives her purpose.
If you don't have faith, why anything? This life ends.
And she says being at a religious event like this gives her an opportunity to recharge that faith.
Faith ebbs and flows. You have moments of consolation and moments of desolation, and that's natural. It's cyclical.
Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
And for tomorrow, skies will become mostly cloudy. High temperatures in the low to mid 80s. There may be a few spotty showers starting late Monday, but rain chances will start to increase on Tuesday. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Discover Masterpiece Quilts at the International Quilters Hall of Fame celebration in Marion, Indiana, July 21st through 23rd. This amazing celebration features world-class exhibits, great workshops and lectures, and the induction of the 2024 honoree. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic. Cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. Seminars are Thursday, July 25th at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 5:30, stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Or Saturday, July 27th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites Indianapolis Northeast in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m., stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register now at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org.
It takes everyone in the community working together to create a brighter future. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Visit liveunited.org to learn how you can help.
Hi, I'm Sherry Shepard. You probably know me best as a co-host on The View. More importantly, I'm a mom. I talk to a lot of moms, and I'll tell you what, we all want the best for our babies. But each year, more than 500,000 babies are born prematurely, and this can lead to serious health problems. The good news is that now if you're pregnant or a new mom, you can get easy access to information to keep your baby healthy. It's through a free service called Text for Baby. Pregnant women and new moms get timely, expert health tips sent directly to their cell phones. The tips will help you care for your new child in each important phase of early development. Get Text for Baby. Free messages on your cell phone to help you through your pregnancy and your baby's first year. Just text BABY, B-A-B-Y, to 511411. That's BABY, B-A-B-Y, to 511-411 for the health of your baby.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for hour number 2 of the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. We're thrilled that you're with us. And I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about a video, as I mentioned before the break, that's getting a lot of discussion. I bet 200 people have sent me a link to this video. And it's a shooting that occurred on the south side of Indy at the intersection of Thompson and Emerson. And it involves a couple of drivers that had been road raging. And what's really interesting, and well, first of all, the initial video is from a dash cam of a car right behind where the shooting occurs. And one of the drivers gets out of his car, walks around the truck that's filming the whole thing, that's videoing the whole thing, walks in front of it, and the guy has a gun in his hand, and walks up to the window of a white pickup truck. I mean, that's obviously the object of his anger and frustration, and the guy's yelling and screaming, and I can't quite discern what exactly it is he's saying. He actually takes the gun, looks to me like the butt of the grip, and bangs it against the window. And he may, and do not hold me to this. And listen, if you haven't seen it already, it's on my Facebook, it's on my Twitter, and you could easily Google it and find it. It's all over the internet. But he may or may not have yelled, "You're dead." That's what it sounded like to me. But he's screaming and yelling, but he's got the gun in his right hand. And he hits the window with the butt of the gun as it's in his right hand. He brings the gun down below the window and then actually transfers the gun from his right hand to his left hand. But it's below the line of sight. It's below the window of the driver of the truck, the other driver that he's yelling at. So that driver clearly cannot see the gun get transferred from the guy who just banged on his window and is screaming and yelling. He can't see it get transferred from the guy's right hand to his left hand. The guy then brings his right hand back up, now without the gun in it, and is pointing back down the road, which I think is Thompson, screaming about something this other driver did. But as he brings that hand up, that the driver of the pickup truck, it's a white pickup truck, had just seen a gun in, same hand comes up now above the window, and the guy's actually just pointing down the road. The gun is now down below the window, not pointed at the other driver. But as that hand comes up, the guy in the pickup truck fires 3 shots from a gun of his own. Hits the guy standing out there yelling at him. It looks to me like the first 2 hit him, and the third one probably sailed over his head. I'd be interested in knowing where that shot went. And if somebody had been hurt by that, I think we would have heard about it. But it may have hit the guy as well. But guy who walks up with a gun in his hand, screaming at the driver of the truck, is now dead. And apparently had just gotten married, by some reports remarried, but had just gotten married in June. And I saw social media posts that I assume are real. You got to worry about everything you see on social media, from his widow talking about how she's devastated. But it comes back to this general subject matter of road rage. And listen, this is something, if you've taken my Essentials of Indiana gun law class that you always hear me pitching here on the Gun Guy Show, and I know there are There are thousands and thousands of people who have taken that over many, many years I've been teaching it. I'm hoping there are a whole bunch of you listening to the Gun Guy Show on a regular basis. If you're out there right now and you've heard me teach my class, if you've taken that class, you know exactly what I'm going to say now. And that is that exact context, that is road rage, accounts for a very, very, very high percentage of the criminal cases involving guns that I defend as a criminal defense attorney. And in fact, when I'm teaching that class, and I'll give this away if you're signed up for the one coming up August 17th at Indy Arms, or we just put a new class out in Avon at Parabellum. It's not till November. But either way, you will hear me go into detail on this in those classes. But I'll say in the class, as I always do, I'll say, one context provides an awful lot of cases for my legal practice. And listen, it's nice to have cases. It's nice to be able to make a living. But I teach that class specifically so more and more people understand Indiana's gun laws. More and more people understand when you can and cannot use a gun. And listen, I'll take the reduction in business. I'm okay with that. If more gun owners are more responsible and more safe and present all gun owners, me and you included, in a more positive light, and people stop doing knuckleheaded things with guns, it's better for everybody. May not be better for my legal practice necessarily, but hey, I'm getting kind of old. That's getting less of a concern every day that goes by. But I'll say, there's one context, and this is before I've revealed anything about what the answer is going to be. There's one scenario that accounts for an awful lot of my business. And this is before I talk about specific crimes like that we have in Indiana, by the way. I mean, people talk about brandishing. Well, we don't have a brandishing law in Indiana. We're talking about this road rage situation. When I posted the video, somebody came on there and said, well, clearly it's brandishing. And if not, it's aggravated assault. And I went, well, we don't have a brandishing law in Indiana. We don't have a crime called aggravated assault. So if you're trying to say the guy committed a crime, you may or may not be right, but it's not those two because we don't have those crimes in Indiana. But we have pointing a firearm. That's what it's called, pointing a firearm. We have intimidation with a deadly weapon. And we have criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon. And those are all felonies. Intimidation with a deadly weapon is a level 5 felony. You can do up to 6 years in prison. The others are level 6s, which involve less severe penalty, but they're still felonies. Over a year in prison, up to 2. And you lose your gun rights. You're a felon for all other purposes. So they're very significant. Pointing a firearm, intimidation with a deadly weapon, criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon. One context provides a very high percentage of my cases in those areas. Not to mention more severe crimes like attempted murder. And I'll say, what do you think that context is? And people will say, home invasions, or I don't know. People have all kinds of guesses. And I'll go, no, it's road rage. And that always comes as a surprise to the class. They're always like looking at each other going, road rage. And I'll say, here's why. I go, it is amazing to me, not just as a firearms instructor or as a Second Amendment attorney, just as someone who drives a lot. I like to drive. I drive a lot. I put a lot of miles on my car. And I enjoy driving. But as somebody who drives a lot, it is a constant source of amazement to me how incredibly pissed off drivers get at each other. It's shocking to me. For a fairly minor transgression, and that's exactly what happened here in the situation we're about to discuss, what looked to be a fairly minor offense meaning somehow offended the other driver, not a criminal offense, that these two drivers start going at it and got so angry, so mad, that one of them gets out of his vehicle with a gun in his hand, approaches the other guy, bangs on his door, screaming and yelling, and the other guy shot him. And that all arose from a fairly minor issue of somebody pulling out onto the road in front of you where perhaps you thought he should have waited. And it wasn't a situation where he had to slam on his brakes and to avoid a collision, nothing like that. We've all how many times that happened to you in a day? You're traveling along and you see somebody sitting there waiting to pull out on the road that you're traveling on, and you look at them and go, don't do it. No, I'm too close. You need to wait. Nope, they pull out. Hey, I'm a motorcycle rider. You can get a little more concerned when you don't have a bunch of steel and or aluminum around you. You're just on a motorcycle. You're watching that car going, don't do it. Or the person coming towards you and they got a left turn signal on. And they're going to turn left in front of you. You're looking at them going, now come on, I'm right here. Don't do it. And they do. Now, how pissed off you get, how angry you get in that moment. I mean, to some degree, that it's a matter of what your personality is, what your demeanor is, how easily you get ticked off. But it's amazing to me, it shouldn't be, because I've been witnessing it for generations, decades, how angry people get. But you know what happens? People get really, really angry. And then suddenly, you know, they're offended. Suddenly their humanity has been insulted. Suddenly someone's acting like they don't exist and they get mad, and then the other driver gets mad, and then it escalates. And then somebody pulls out a gun. And it may be, and I've had all these cases, it may be to just wave it in the window and go, hey, I've got a gun. You need to leave me alone, or you need to back off, or you need to whatever. I've got a gun. Look at me. It may be to point it at him to go, hey, I'm about to shoot you. You need to get away, whatever it is. Or God forbid, fire shots. Or God forbid, somebody gets out of their car, like happened here just Tuesday at Thompson and Emerson, and somebody gets shot. And so I in my class, I say, listen, if you carry a gun, you got a gun in the car. And look, I've always got a gun in my car. I've always got a gun on me if I can legally carry a gun. So there's going to be a gun in my car. That actually puts you in a situation you have to be more responsible. You have to be less of a tough guy, tough lady, whatever it might be. You need to swallow your pride a little bit because you're responsible. You're carrying a gun on your hip. You get out of that car carrying that gun on your hip. You've now brought a gun to a situation where a gun was probably never needed. And by the way, let me just drop a footnote right here. I am not taking anyway, because I've had this case. In fact, I have this case going right now. I don't discuss cases specifically on the radio ever. But I have the case, and I've had the case where someone is legitimately in fear for their life as part of a road rage situation. And someone's really trying to hurt them. And they do what they need to do to defend their life or defend themselves and their passengers' lives. And yes, and the law of self-defense allows you to do that. So I'm not talking about a legitimate case of self-defense, which I've seen. And I'm involved in right now. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a situation where simply from escalation and anger, people take a road rage situation to a place where guns get involved, where guns didn't need to be involved. And let me just tell you, like this road rage situation at Thompson and Emerson, there are going to be a whole lot of people, and I'm sure some politicians, who would go, here you go, a simple road rage situation, but both drivers have guns. And because both drivers had guns, somebody's dead. We need to cut down on these people having guns. That's an argument to repeal constitutional carry. It's an argument to change the availability of handgun licenses. It's an argument for a whole bunch of gun control proposals that I spend a lot of time fighting against every day, every year, every session of the Indiana General Assembly. And so I mourn this situation because there's a loss of life. And obviously that's the most important issue. But significantly below that is it's not a good thing for gun owners when a situation like this happens. So what do we do about that? How do we address it? And what are the specific issues associated with the use of deadly force in self-defense that this situation brings to bear? And a lot of people just saw the last video. Well, actually, I had 4 videos. They're sequential of the actual road raging these two drivers are doing before the viral video you've all seen. And I posted these 4 videos with the consent of the person who videoed it, who had the rear-facing camera in his truck, sent it to me and said I could publish it, gave me permission. But what legal issues are associated with this? I will get into all those things and take your call. I think my buddy Buzz has called in with an unrelated question, but we'll go to the phone lines. You want to call in, you want to join the discussion, you want to talk about President Trump, the assassination attempt, you want to talk about this road rage situation, give us a call, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Former President Trump has a new apprentice.
Auditions are over and the role has been cast.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance.
The bumper sticker will say, Trump Vance.
J.D. Vance hasn't always been a fan of former President Trump.
It's actually important to be able, again, to admit that you're wrong.
Well, you can kind of see why Trump made the choice he did.
The first sort of thought you have to have, could I stand in the big chair?
What happens next?
He's the guy he thinks can help him win.
Happens here on your 2024 election information station.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. As I mentioned, my next Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class is coming up Saturday, August 17th. It's going to be at Indy Arms. They're conveniently located at 2550 East 55th Street in Indianapolis, and it's going to be 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. Sometimes we get out a little early. It's 4.5 to 5 hours of the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner, including a topic we're talking about tonight on the Gun Guy Show, which is the justified use of deadly force in self-defense. If you carry a gun, that's an issue you need to understand. $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. We're also going to take it out to Avon again. We love going out to Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. We got one of those going Saturday, November 9th. Also this year out at Parabellum, also $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. Go ahead and reserve your seat by registering online. You go to tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? X marks the spot. Now through July 25th, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for $30 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract with Wi-Fi equipment included. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix. All your favorites, all in one place, only from Xfinity. So go ahead and binge some shows, stream some movies, and save some money all at the same time. For more watching and less spending, X marks the spot. Switch to Xfinity, the network made for streaming, and bring on the good stuff. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Internet offer requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Currently $56 a month. Plus Wi-Fi equipment, currently $15 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity Internet or TV, and price subject to change.
Fox, CNN, other news sources are reporting home prices are expected to decline into 2025, even after the election. Maximize your home sales price now before this downturn with the agent proven to sell for top dollar, Mark Dietel. Perhaps you're worried about settling for less money with a lowball instant offer. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Tom and Kim from Sharpeville had to say about working with Mark Dietel. We were wanting to move to Florida and looking to sell our home. We wanted to sell quick with an agent who would maximize the sales price. After being approached by Mark Dietel's team, we knew they were right for us. It was incredible. Mark sold our home on the first day at full price. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Community Health Network cares for your heart health. From heart scans and vascular screenings to complex heart procedures, you can count on our expert team for the highest quality cardiovascular care, when and where you need it. Your path to a healthy heart starts with knowing your risk. Schedule a heart scan or vascular screening today. Visit ecommunity.com/heart. Community Health Network. Exceptional care. Simply delivered.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. Seminars are Thursday, July 25th at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 5:30, stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Or Saturday, July 27th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites Indianapolis Northeast in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m., stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register now at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indie Decorative Concrete patio. Indie Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
So back to a discussion about road rage. And listen, I try to practice this. Look, do I cuss and complain about other drivers while sitting inside my car? Yeah, you know I do. Absolutely. If I'm on a motorcycle and somebody does something knuckleheaded, you know, that easily risks my life. I've been a motorcycle rider my whole life. I start to say adult life, but it goes well beyond that. I mean, you put my life in jeopardy by doing knuckleheaded things around me when I'm on a motorcycle. But even in a car, do I get mad? Sure. Have I been known to drop the F-bomb, you know, yelling at people? Yeah. Hell, I get irritated just coming up to a roundabout. When I leave my house in Zionsville and go to my office in Carmel, it's actually straight across what is Main Street in Carmel. It turns into a different street in Zionsville, but right off my neighborhood. But I basically just have a straight shot going across what is Main Street in Carmel. 7.2 miles. Boom, I'm at my office. I go through 15 roundabouts in 7.2 miles from my house to my office. And so I'm pretty versed, and that's just commuting to work and back. Not to mention all the other roundabouts you go through just driving around, especially on the north side, specifically in Carmel. But, you know, I got roundabout protocol down, man. If somebody just comes up and treats it like a four-way stop and just damn stops, am I going to, or maybe out loud yell, just blank go? I probably say that 15 times on my way to work. So, look, I get as mad as anybody. But if you got a gun in the car, here's what makes the rules different for us that carry guns. You can't let things escalate. You can't let things escalate. People who carry guns because they think it makes them a tough guy, and consider that a pansexual term. You know, they think that it means that they can intimidate anybody. They think it means they can win an argument. It thinks they can make somebody bow down to them. You got to adjust that attitude, or I'm going to tell you're not the kind of person that ought to be carrying a gun. A gun is a tool of last resort to protect your life or someone else's life, some other innocent life, against the unlawful attempt to take your life or take someone else's life. That's really the mindset. That's not the legal test. I teach the legal test, but that's the mindset you ought to have. Tool of last resort to protect your life. And listen, somebody just ticked you off driving, and you're both now stopped at an intersection. Nobody's trying to ram anybody or put anybody in a ditch. And you're so mad you grab your gun and get out of your car? No. Got a gun on your hip. Having a gun on my hip limits my ability to be a tough guy in terms of, and look, I'm a big guy. I'm getting kind of old, but I'm a big guy. I want to get out of my car and walk up on somebody and intimidate them because I'm a foot taller than them, or I outweigh them substantially, or I'm just built lots bigger and stronger than them. If I'm carrying a gun on my hip, I'm substantially less likely. In fact, the likelihood is about damn zero I'd even consider doing that because I got a gun on my hip. I'm responsible. I can't bring a gun to a potential confrontation where I'm responsible for that gun having entered the fray, having entered the equation. I have to keep that gun uninvolved in that situation because a gun's not called for. It's not needed. My life's not on the line. Another innocent life is not on the line. Having a gun on my hip limits my ability to be a tough guy. It doesn't make me a tough guy because I'm responsible for that gun. And that's the mindset we got to adjust. And when I have cases where people are waving guns around or grabbing a gun, or in this case, in this road rage shooting, guy grabs his gun to get out and go threaten, intimidate. And look, when he shifts the gun, if you haven't seen the video, you got to go out and find it. It's all over the internet. When he's got the gun in his hand, he bangs against the window, he drops the gun below the window, he shifts it to his left hand, and then brings the other hand up to point and gesture and do what he's doing. I think he did that intentionally so as not to point the gun at the other guy. Now, I'm not absolving him of responsibility, and do I think the other driver was absolutely justified in shooting the guy? Yes, I absolutely believe he was. I'll get into some of the nuances of self-defense law that might or might not apply. But I don't think there's any substantial chance at all, even in being in Marion County, the guy who did the shooting will get charged. I think it's going to be self-defense. But he brought the gun to the confrontation. And in this case, it got him killed. And that's a fundamental error. So look, cost your life, and obviously that's the highest priority. That's the biggest issue. But it also puts us all in a bad light because there are people out there going, mm-hmm. And what's the argument we always hear? That guns are too available. Too many people are carrying guns. We had a simple road rage situation. Somebody's angry about somebody pulling out in front of them. Next thing you know, somebody's dead because these knuckleheads are all carrying guns. That's the argument we give them and we support for them when we make incredibly bad decisions. Again, is that as big an issue? Is that as high a priority as someone losing their life? Of course not. Absolutely not. But in terms of the broader effect on the rest of us, something to talk about, something to think about. We're at the bottom of the hour. We're taking a break. We'll come back, and I will go to the phone lines. I think just Buzz is on there now. But we will go to the phone line, and I'll talk about some of the legal issues associated with this road rage shooting when we come back. Give us a call, 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
Secret Service is pushing him out. Not fast enough, and I'd fire everybody. There are very few people in the Secret Service who would remain if I was in charge. How Donald Trump was not pulled by his belt loops off that stage and into a waiting car is beyond comprehension. Well, there are a couple of reasons for this, and we're going to get into it.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Close your eyes and picture it. The warm sun on your face. The sound of waves lapping against the shore. What if I told you that feeling of summer relaxation could be yours all year round? At Howard Bailey Financial, we specialize in retirement planning that lets you embrace that summer state of mind every day. Imagine knowing that your future is secure. With our expert advisors, we'll craft a personalized retirement plan tailored to your dreams. Whether it's traveling the world or pursuing your passions, we'll ensure that your retirement is as carefree and fulfilling as a relaxing summer afternoon. Embrace a summer state of mind and text SUMMER to 888-494-5004 to download our complimentary retirement toolkit and experience your retirement planning with confidence.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TSY.
It's almost here. The best days of summer return this August with your 2024 Indiana State Fair. Join us for endless fun, where there's something for everyone. Take a stroll and enjoy your favorite traditions, or enjoy one of the many new additions. This year, we're celebrating the art and nature of fun, presented by Newfields. Grab discount tickets today at indianastatefair.com. 15 magical days full of fun. Returns August 2nd through 18th. Closed Mondays. Plan your trip today and save big. See you at the fair.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
This is a Fox News alert. Former President Trump back on the campaign trail for the first time since surviving an assassination attempt last weekend in Pennsylvania. He talked about that experience at a rally today in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I stand before you only by the grace of Almighty God. That's true.
He also sees the GOP is winning Michigan come November.
Less than 4 months from now, we are going to win Michigan. We are going to take back the White House in a monumental landslide. And with your help, we are going to make America great again.
His vice presidential candidate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, addressed that rally earlier in the day. That rally held in an arena in Grand Rapids under very heavy security because of what happened last week in Pennsylvania. I'm Paul Stevens. This is Fox News Alert.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code EASY, or text EASY to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code EASY.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text EASY to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
First Financial Bank. Get 4.6% APY on money market accounts and high rates on CDs. Stop into your local First Financial Bank to start growing your money today. What are you waiting for? It's easy. Take advantage of our great rates. APY equals annual percentage yield. $25,000 minimum deposit required for money market. Terms and conditions apply. Member FDIC. Visit bankatfirst.com for details.
First! I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And we'll talk about the legal issues associated with this road rage shooting that we're talking about. But before we do, our buddy Buzz has called in with a question. I don't think related to the discussion, Buzz, but wanted to catch you here before we go on. How you doing?
Oh, yeah, how you doing? I'm doing great. Okay, I think it's time for you, the 2A Project, with Kelly and Jim and Chris and Craig and everybody, sit down and pen the law that states now that we have 29 states, each one is just like the driver's license. Reciprocity. For each state that is in it, we need to be able just to walk right in, drive right in, just free as can be, just like we're supposed to.
Well, I mean, that for those 20, you're talking about the 29 states that have constitutional carry, right, Buzz?
Correct.
Yeah, well, for those 29 states, that's how it is. I mean,
right, but okay, we go in and fill out the 4473 form, we should have a question on there stating, do you wish for us to send you the license? That way, we've got the license.
Yeah, okay. All right. I see what you're saying. Listen, what I would really like in terms of national reciprocity, and listen, there have been some bills introduced in Congress for national reciprocity. I was very disappointed in the first 2 years of Trump's administration when he was elected in 2016, and we had majorities in both the House and the Senate. From 2016 to 2018, we lost the majority in both houses after that, in terms of not having the majority in both houses. But for 2 years, we had the president, we had a majority in the House and a majority in the Senate. And there was a national reciprocity bill that was passed in the House and got sent over to the Senate, and old Cocaine Mitch didn't call it for a vote in the Senate, and I was livid because we finally had a chance for national reciprocity. Now, I have somewhat what I like to see the and we're talking there that this relates to Buzz's comment that if we had national reciprocity, then every state would have to recognize every other state's license to carry. It wouldn't be national constitutional carry, but it'd be like a driver's license, or now after the same-sex marriage case that came down from the Supreme Court, same-sex marriage licenses. So same-sex driver's licenses, marriage license, those have to be recognized no matter what state they're issued by. They got to be recognized in every other state. Well, why shouldn't my carry license be treated exactly the same way? And that's why I can justify a bill requiring national reciprocity, but you know what I would much prefer to a bill from Congress? Because listen, what Congress gives, Congress can take away. Do I trust the politicians in Washington? No, I won't even answer that question. So what I would much prefer, I would prefer a Supreme Court ruling that says just like a driver's license and just like a marriage license. In fact, you can take the language out of the same-sex marriage case in the Supreme Court and just substitute carry license for where it says marriage license, and the analysis for why it ought to be recognized in every other state, notwithstanding whatever state it was issued by, as an analysis under the 14th Amendment, it absolutely applies. In my mind, it may apply a little better than in the context of a marriage license. So I would like a Supreme Court ruling that says under the 14th Amendment, under equal protection, then every state has to recognize every other state's carry license. That would give us national reciprocity, and Congress couldn't take that away from us because it'd be a Supreme Court precedent. And that, to me, would be a much better deal. Let's get back to the discussion I was heading into, which is what are legal issues associated with this road rage incident? And listen, I've seen a lot of comments, and listen, I get the context, I get the meaning, but a lot of context that just slightly missed the mark in terms of the justification for the use of deadly force in self-defense. And this is what we spend a couple of hours on in my gun law class. So it's a little more complex. It's a little more nuanced than I think what a lot of people realize. I've seen comments like I just saw one on the YouTube feed said, I'm pretty sure he felt threatened. Well, I agree with you. I think the driver who did the shooting felt threatened. But is feeling threatened sufficient to shoot somebody? Well, maybe not. Feeling threatened isn't the standard. I take your point, and I agree with you. I'm not criticizing. But what is the standard? What's really interesting in this context, that is a road rage incident where the one guy is approaching the other person's vehicle, gun in his hand. There are actually two different sections of the Indiana self-defense statute that apply to that scenario. One is under what we call the general self-defense statute. It's the same statute. It's a subsection of the statute. And when you want to look at all this, by the way, just Google this. It'll come right up. The first thing will be the result of the mathematical formula of 35-41-3-2. Put that in Google. Put Indiana next to it, and the first thing that will come up, in all likelihood, will be the Indiana self-defense statute. And so subsection C, that's from memory, but I'm pretty sure that's right, is what we call the general self-defense provision of our self-defense statute. And that applies to you no matter where you are. In other words, it's not limited to your home like the Castle Doctrine provision is. But it applies to you being out in public. And that says you can use reasonable force, including deadly force, if you reasonably believe that that force, meaning deadly force, is necessary to prevent serious bodily injury to you or a third person, or to prevent the commission of a forcible felony. So there's a number of very important components to this. You have to reasonably believe that. You can believe it all day long, but if your belief wasn't reasonable and that's judged, if, for instance, a case goes to trial, the judge will instruct the jury to say that you shall assume a hypothetical reasonable person acting reasonably would have had the same belief this person did. They had a reasonable belief. And people, I see it all the time. People out there and go, they'll say, "Oh, all I have to do is say I feared for my life, and I can shoot anybody I want to." No, that's not how that works. Because your belief has to be reasonable. It's not some magic wand you can wave and I feared for my life. Well, there you go. If under what we call the totality of the circumstances, that belief wasn't reasonable, even if the jury believes that you held that belief, if they buy that argument, but they find your belief wasn't reasonable under the circumstances, it's not a valid claim of self-defense. So you have to have a reasonable belief that you're preventing serious bodily injury to you or a third person or the commission of a forcible felony. What's a forcible felony? It's a felony committed through the use or threat of force or in which there's a substantial danger of injury to a human being. So there are a lot of felonies out there that aren't forcible felonies. Somebody out in the parking garage here at WIBC right now stealing my car, they're committing a felony, but they're not threatening me or threatening anybody else to steal my car. They're just stealing my car. So that's not a forcible felony. Now, I'm in my car. Somebody puts a tire iron in my face or a knife in my face and says, "Get out of the car. I'm taking your car. This is a carjacking." Aha. Now that's a forcible felony. So I can use reasonable force, including deadly force, to either prevent serious bodily injury to me or a third person, or the commission of a forcible felony. That's a general self-defense statute. So before we take a break, let's stop there. Let's assume I'm sitting in my car. I've been road raging with some dude. He's now all ticked off. We're stopped at an intersection. He gets out of his car. He's got a gun in his hand, comes up and bangs on my window with a gun in his hand. The gun disappears. It was in his right hand. Now that hand comes back up. As I see that hand start to come back up, do I fear serious bodily injury? Do I believe that if I don't defend myself with deadly force, that I can incur serious bodily injury, which obviously includes getting killed? Yeah, that's a really solid argument. That's why deadly force in that circumstance was justified. But get this, there's actually a second provision of the Indiana self-defense statute that also applies in the exact same scenario we're discussing. And, however, there's another little nuance in the self-defense statute that could potentially be used to deny the shooter's ability to claim self-defense. I don't think it does apply, but it's worth talking about. We'll wrap all that up here in our last segment of the Gun Guy Show when we come back. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Former President Trump has a new apprentice.
Auditions are over and the role has been cast.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance.
The bumper sticker will say, Trump Vance.
J.D. Vance hasn't always been a fan of former President Trump.
It's actually important to be able, again, to admit that you're wrong.
Well, you can kind of see why Trump made the choice he did.
The first sort of thought you have to have, could I stand in the big chair?
What happens next?
He's the guy he thinks can help him win.
Happens here on your 2024 election information station.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our next Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class, where we get into a lot more detail on these issues involving the use of deadly force. It's coming up on Saturday, August 17th at Indy Arms. And then we've got another class scheduled for Saturday, November 9th out in Avon at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. You need to reserve your seats if you're interested in either one of those. These classes always sell out. You can do that at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
From marshmallow festivals to fireworks on the shore. No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. During Hubler's Freedom to Drive, shop any of our 12 locations and choose from Chevys, Fords, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and many more. Over 2,000 vehicles, all makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report.
'Cause Hubler's got you covered.
No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. During our Freedom to Drive, visit drivehubler.com or any of our 12 locations.
Cover me!
Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coating and their transformation, like your neighbor Mike.
Well, the local company that we used first was highly recommended by people in our neighborhood. We did not know until after it didn't work on our floor. It just peeled up like a cheap suit. And so my wife says, we got to do something. And so she started looking around on the internet and she found Galaxy.
Lots of styles to choose from. 4 times stronger than epoxy and a 15-year warranty.
We got Galaxy out here. They got here at about 8 o'clock in the morning and they finished up at 6 o'clock that night. Other than having a beautiful garage floor, you couldn't tell they were here. Just did a wonderful job on it.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
Still looks fantastic, and anybody that visits our house, that's all they want to talk about. I mean, they just can't believe how nice the garage floor looks.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters. Over 3 decades of restoring your home or business to better than new condition. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Addiction. It's hard on those who struggle with it, but those who love the addict need support too. Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick provide help and hope with Supporting Sobriety. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on WIPC.com. Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIPC.
And welcome back for our last segment here on the Gun Guy Show. And by the way, just had a caller, Jim, I believe, and we got a real short segment, and so we decided we didn't have time to take any more calls. But Jim told my producer Jack that he was actually in a road rage incident where this other guy, the same guy who got shot that we're discussing here, was road raging against Jim. And so, Jim, I told producer Jack we didn't have time to take any calls this segment, but man, please call back next week because we'd love to hear your story, and it's going to be directly germane to this whole discussion. So please call us back next week. But to wrap this up in just the 3 minutes or so we have left, first of all, I mentioned there's a separate provision of Indiana's self-defense law that actually applies when you're in your vehicle and are therefore justified in using deadly force if the requirements are met. And that's because Indiana's Castle Doctrine, people refer to as your ability to defend your home, and that's exactly what it is. And actually, in Indiana, we extend our Castle Doctrine to your occupied motor vehicle. It has to be your car, but it actually extends to your occupied motor vehicle. And exactly what the statute says is it says that you're justified in using reasonable force, including deadly force, if you reasonably believe that force is necessary to prevent or terminate an unlawful entry into or attack on your dwelling, meaning your home, where you're staying at the time, where you're living at the time. Curtilage, we'll just let curtilage go. We could do a whole show on what the hell curtilage means. But then it says, or occupied motor vehicle. That's the Castle Doctrine. You can use reasonable force, including deadly force, to prevent or terminate, again, if you have that reasonable belief, entry or attack on your occupied motor vehicle. We extend Castle Doctrine protection to your occupied motor vehicle. So you're in your car, somebody comes up with a gun in their hand, bangs against your window with that gun. You actually use the gun to smack your window. Do you in that moment reasonably believe that deadly force is necessary to prevent or terminate that unlawful attack on your vehicle or entry, potentially? Pretty reasonable argument there is. Here's one thing, though, why the whole road rage sequence and the videos depicting the road rage, because listen, this thing starts, this blue sedan, which was being driven by the guy who got shot, who got out of his vehicle with a gun, pulls out, looks like onto Thompson, in front of a white pickup truck driven by the other driver. And it didn't look all that close. It didn't look like a situation where pickup truck had to slam on his brakes. But then all of a sudden, there's tailgating, there's brake checking, there's a pass on the wrong side of double yellow lines. And the only significance of all of that, and this is what I raised on social media, and a lot of people didn't understand my point, is that there's a provision of the self-defense law that says you can't claim self-defense if you're the initial aggressor. If you're the initial aggressor. So it actually does matter who was doing what in the time leading up to the actual shooting, because you can't claim self-defense if you're the initial aggressor. Now, I think that means physically aggressive. I think that means threateningly aggressive. Participating in road rage, does that apply or not? That's a little bit of an open question. But that's why not being hostile, not being involved is a very important point. That brings us to the end of this week's Gun Guy Show. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you come back next week. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
The deals keep coming at Andy Moore Ford in Plainfield. Tony Katz here at Andy Moore Ford. The people, the selection, the service.